Well, hey there. I'm glad you tuned in. Today we are looking at the Alvarez ABT610E Sunburst Edition. Let's dive in. So if you were listening back to these audio examples and you thought, this guitar is tuned pretty low, well, you would be correct. This is a baritone guitar, which means, if you're unfamiliar, we have a longer scale length and significantly larger strings than we do on a standard strung guitar to accommodate a significantly lower tuned instrument, specifically a fourth interval below standard tuning on the guitar. And so that low E, which is normally that E on there, is a low B, and it's strung all the way up to a high B as well. So your chord shapes don't really change. All the shapes that you know are still used, but they're exactly a fourth down from where you would be at in standard tuning. And so there's a couple reasons I think these are awesome. And one is because of just the amount of challenge it is to constantly be thinking, of transposition while you're kind of playing. It does kind of stretch you a little bit if you're not used to kind of constantly shifting chords in your head. And transposing them to different keys, to the original key. And so it does force you to kind of have to think a little bit more when you're kind of playing. And I think this is always a good thing because it does stretch you a little bit and challenge you. The other thing too is, the strings are significantly larger. I think this is a 15 to 70 gauge string is what I strung this with from the folks over at Stringjoy. Shout out Stringjoy. And in terms of playability, it's not quite like playing a bass, like chords on a bass, but for all greater purposes, in terms of like if you're coming from a regular strung 6-string guitar, it might feel that way. Your fingers will probably wear out a lot more quickly, and it's a lot harder to make some of those stretches on the guitar, just because everything is so much larger and harder to fret. So the other thing I think that a lot of people don't factor in as well is because the strings are so much larger, that obviously affects how you set up the guitar. Like I have this set up a little bit higher for sure than I would a normal 6-string guitar, just because the strings are so much larger. They do have a tendency to rattle a lot if you're playing super low action. So it's not significantly higher than a standard kind of guitar, but I do like to give it a little bit more bandwidth there, just so it's not rattling every time I strum a chord. So that's another thing to kind of think about there too. But the other thing too, on the other side of that, is it opens a whole lot more creativity just because of the different sound. I'm a big believer that anytime you experience something new, it has the potential to open new doors and new possibilities of new creativity. I discovered even I wasn't really a big piano player growing up. But when I was in audio engineering school, we had a lot of required piano courses just to complete the degree. And it was something that, I really didn't like playing piano growing up, but because it was forced, I had to do that for the degree. It did, have me playing a lot more piano. And much as I would say I would never consider myself a piano player to this day, it did unlock a lot of doors into places that I probably wouldn't have gone on the fretboard of the guitar. And so then when you bring that back over to the guitar and start thinking of a lot of the same voicings that you have on piano on the guitar, it kind of takes you different places than you would otherwise. Super cool. That's why I'm a huge fan of alternate tunings on the guitar as well too. It just gets you out of the kind of bubble that we live in standard. Takes you out of the box a little bit. So that's another cool reason. The other thing too as well is think about textures and contrasts and layers. As someone who does a lot of recording, and so many people I know watching my channel are probably doing a lot of home recording as well. It adds a whole nother layer of dimension because it sits between, the 6-string guitar, regular strung guitar, and a bass. It gives you a different kind of voice that you normally wouldn't hear. And so talk about separation and contrast and depth. Think of, the possibility of maybe taking like a smaller size, maybe a parlor or a triple O or, double O size guitar that you have some picking work that you're kind of doing, and then contrasting that with this much larger bodied instrument that's pushing a whole lot more air. It's a pretty cool contrast. In fact, I've used this on many recording sessions the last couple years that I've had it to just contrast with a much higher, tuned, standard guitar. And so it's pretty cool. You could, maybe put some really big sustained chords on this one and maybe like a, higher picking, maybe capoed section on that smaller body guitar, or even just like an alternate picking pattern to the one that the, the regular guitar is doing. It's super cool because it adds so much contrast and so much depth. So would I buy this guitar again? Because actually this week I'm getting ready to pass this guitar on. Yes, I would totally buy it again. Only reason I'm really getting rid of this guitar is I just need to trim down the herd a little bit. I'm actually making a move this year across the country from Spokane, Washington, to Nashville, Tennessee. And, I kind of realized I have, which might not seem to, like a lot to many of you watching this channel, but, I have like 10 or 11 guitars. And realistically, I don't play each and every one of them as much as I should. And quite frankly, probably moving into a smaller space, going from a full house to apartment probably, there's just not going to be as much room. So I have to kind of think about which guitars I am going to be playing and trim down a little bit. So I'm actually kind of sad to see this one go because, again, like I said, it's been a really cool recording tool as well. Is just, it's fun to play and it opens more creative, potential. So if you're watching this and, this connects with you, if you like the idea of having more contrast, more depth in your recordings, or you just want to experience something new, maybe more writing potential, I would highly recommend these. You can get these pretty affordably. I think brand new, they only run between like $500 and $600. So on the used market, they're mid $300s, $400. And I think stupid, deal of the day from Musician Friend will frequently kind of put these up as well. I think that's actually how I even ended up with this. It was like $100 off the new price on there. So definitely worthwhile, kind of at least, kind of exploring and seeing if this might be a good fit for you. As always, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can continue to, receive cool guitar-related content. That's what we do here on the channel. And if you're in the need of guitar lessons, I've been a full-time guitar teacher for the last 10 years. That's actually what I'm leaving behind as I move to Nashville. Built up a really solid, stable studio in the Northwest. If you're interested in online lessons, I'd love to kind of work with you and just see how we can, grow together on the guitar. Or if you're interested in having me, play guitar on any of your projects or work on any of your music, I am a full service mixing engineer and audio engineer as well. So if you have a project that you need some help on or would like, another set of ears on, I'd love to work with you. You can visit my website, joshuakrell.com, or my lessons website, joshuaguitarlessons.com, to learn more. But that's all for today. I will see you in the next video.